Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our second world editions of TCI, broadcasting from Gulf Hotel in Abidjan. In this edition titled Cote d'Ivoire Rebuilding, we will address three main topics: security and stability issues, and we will talk about the reconciliations and truth commissions. Then third, we will talk about the economic recovery. We now welcome Minister Patrick Ashi, the government spokesman, to our TCI World editions. Welcome, Minister Patrick.
Welcome, Lassina.
To tackle the first issue, which is the security and stability, where do we stand so far with the security in the city of Abidjan?
As far as security in Abidjan is concerned, we think that it's okay in most of the part of the country, except maybe in the capital city, we can say 80% is fine. We still have 20% remaining on one or two pockets of resistance that we're dealing with.
Yes. But
let me take a chance there to point out something very important, which is that Alassane Ouattara has been all along this crisis, as we're talking about security issue, very consistent in one thing, which is the respect of human life. Every time the issue of human life was concerned, he did everything he could to save human life, even against all odds. One of the things was that when the militia and the mercenaries started to perpetrate cold, well-thought religious, political, and ethnical crimes in Abidjan city, firing at women, kids, burning alive innocent people. Everybody was really mad at the situation because they were trying to start a civil war in the city.
And they wanted to have gun from the president, something like that, right?
Yes, the young men, the militants, wanted to have arm from the president because they were dying to take revenge, to fire back. But he refused, even though they felt abandoned by him, but he refused to do so because, once again, he wanted to save lives. And third, when you had also all these people, his followers, asking to go for a full war against Laurent Gbagbo, as there were more and more killing in Abidjan city, he refused. Instead, follow the path of diplomatic means to find a peaceful settlement to the crisis.
And what's happening right now in Yopougon?
In Yopougon, you really have a specific issue there where all the militia and mercenaries fled after being ousted from all the other part of the city. And they are there on a daily basis, killing an average of 10 people. Now, the easy solution would have been to send the whole army there against them and killing maybe more than 1,000 militiamen, where you have kids age 15. But this is not what Alassane Ouattara has decided.
He didn't do that yet.
He didn't do that. Once again, he asked the generals, the army, the chief and leaders of the army to go and talk to the people, to find a peaceful solution. The use of force being the last resort. So I think that all that shows that we're going to be finished with the security issue. If it takes maybe a couple of more days, it's just because we want to save life, which is a very important issue for him.
And of course, all of these will ease the reconciliation process that we're all talking about.
Oh yes, definitely, because all this killing, as you kill, people want revenge. And since we really want a quick and fast reconciliation, we really have to take care of that.
Okay, now, what about the situation in Abobo? Of course, we've heard, several statements from Ibrahim Koulibaly, an ex-FN soldier who claimed to be running a parallel armed force to secure the city. Where does the president stand with that?
Yes, the issue of Abobo is a particular one, meaning over there, it's not a matter of militiamen killing innocent people. These people we're talking about were part of what we call the invisible commando in Abobo. They prevent Laurent Gbagbo's militiamen to kill innocent people. But now that the war is being finished, they are feeling like, since they are not part of
abandoned
since they are not part of the Republican forces, now they feel like they are the forgotten heroes of the victory.
I see.
And we really have to deal with this issue. But we think that once again, Alassane Ouattara has asked to use negotiation. Negotiation is the best way to deal with that, and negotiations have started. We hope that a peaceful settlement will be reached in a couple of days there.
Okay, now, you dealt with the militia. Don't you think in the future the proliferation of weapons will be a threat to security? How do you intend to actually deal with this matter?
Yes, this is a key issue. We have found real arsenals, thousands of arms. We're talking about more than 20,000 AK-47 distributed to kids all over the city.
Oh, really?
And now we really have to deal with that. We have started already. As you know, before even the crisis, we have a DDR program.
Which is like a disarmament,
demobilization, and reintegration program. Meaning, first of all, we will try to ask them to hand over their gun against the commitment to get them into the army, the police, or the gendarmerie. Second will be to try to train some of them and insert them within the economy. And third will be certainly for the other one to ask for the arm against a lump sum that we will agree on. So all of these things should help us get rid of all that. But we should not forget one thing. We should also equip and train our policemen to deal with this new threat, as it's not going to be finished overnight. You know, it's an ongoing process that we have to keep on working for quite a while.
And what about the FRC soldiers going back to the military camp?
Yeah, this is also an issue that's been dealt with even before the crisis. Through what we call the Ouagadougou Agreement, the complementary, I think the forced complementary agreement, and where it's clearly stated that we're going to unite the former Force Nouvelle and the Cote d'Ivoire Army. This has started with the FRCI, and now we have to get further down on the practical ways of reintegrating all these people in one army. I think that there's not really a lot of difficulties about that. It's going to, move smooth forward.
During the press conference a couple of weeks ago that the President Ouattara actually, he talked about forming a commission of truth and reconciliations. What do you really mean by that?
Talking about truth and reconciliation program, you really need to know that there will not be sustainable development as long as you don't have justice, really. This crisis started with developing hatred, division based on religious or political or ethical ground. Now, we anticipate that all that comes from the fact that some of the people who have lost family members might perceive truth and reconciliation process as a way for the one who have committed crime to get free. Whereas the people who have committed crimes might perceive this as being a true reconciliation process.
So that's a real challenge.
It's a real challenge. It raised the issue of justice and reconciliation process. How are we going to deal with that?
Then to move on, what will be the criteria to be eligible for the truth and reconciliation process?
I am not really quite familiar with what was done in South Africa. But from what I know and I can guess, I think that people will be trial, they'll be sentenced, and they will also maybe asked to do a few years of prison. But now, if they tell the truth and they recognize that they are guilty, they've done something wrong, and they ask for mercy, then I think they should maybe somehow forgiven.
So, for instance, if when people are convicted for a war crime, would they go through the same process and they actually can go free?
I think there we have to be very careful. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission is a local process, meaning if people are convicted of war crime, the Truth and Reconciliation process, which is a local process, do not prevent them from being trial with international justice. You know, this is something which is quite different. So the Truth and Reconciliation process is a local one. Now, if the International Criminal Court really want to try to bring them to justice, then they will have to answer there.
Will that really bring the desired peace? Oh, in other words, can we say, can we have peace without justice?
What you have to know is that among all, justice will certainly be one of the key pillars of President Ouattara's policy or program. A lot that has been done or happened in this country is due to impunity or lack of justice. So the president is President Ouattara is very clear about it. We do not want any more impunity. And the Truth and Reconciliation Commission will not be a process that should mislead anyone. No one who has committed any act against the law will get free. But anyone facing justice will have a fair trial and will have impartial judges.
I see. Where do you stand with respect to forming a unity government? Are LNP party hardliner going to participate?
I don't think any hardliner will be in that government. We have to be very clear, about that. We cannot put back these people in the power position at all. And I think that the president, more than anyone, is aware of that. But we think that there are competent people that were close to Laurent Gbagbo's party who had, at a certain point, the courage of speaking out or at least stay away from all the crime we've witnessed these past weeks and months. So he's going to find among them some key competent people to join his government. I have no doubt about that. But no hardliner. We really have to be clear about that.
I see. On human rights issues, we all heard about that in the news. How are you going to deal with the human rights abuses in Joko and elsewhere in the Ivory Coast here?
As I said before, President Ouattara was once clear about that. We are doing every single thing we can do to preserve human life. Every time we are giving priority to negotiation versus just killing or combat or using force.
So the force was actually the last resort for everything.
Definitely. And being Duekwe or Abidjan, where I'm reminding you that more than 1,000 people got killed, assassinated, innocent people, the president has asked for full and detailed investigation by the Justice Department as well as any international organization interested to investigate. All abusers will be brought to justice, and if they are found guilty, they will pay a severe price, since the world that we're trying to put forward is never again. Never again. We don't want to see that anymore.
In this part of our program, we are now joined by Minister Adama Tungara, the Minister of Mine and Energy, to talk about the economic recovery. Welcome, Mr. Minister.
Thank you.
Talking about economic recovery, Minister Patrick, is the life getting back to normal?
Yes, life is getting back to normal in most of the country. In Abidjan, it's getting progressively back to normal since electricity, water supply, buses are now functioning in most of the part of the suburb of the city. Now, you have to know that it can only come back to